Hey, what's going on, y'all? Cowann here. So I wanted to just jump on real quick, just to share a hot take, I guess, so to speak. I guess that's what the kids call it these days, right? Don't want to be too long-winded here. And of course, every time I start a video or any type of thing with, I don't want to say too much, I don't want to be too long-winded, it ends up being like 10, 15 minutes. But I'm going to try to hold true to this because I know not everybody wants to sit around watching and listening to me ramble all day. But I wanted to share something with you guys. So my 39th birthday was yesterday. So with that, I was having a couple conversations with some really good buddies, separate conversations that kind of sparked some thoughts, and I just want to share them with you guys. So one of them was actually with my buddy Jordan, who's been one of my best friends for 35 years, right? So I'm 39. So like the majority of like literally like we were like 3, 4 years old, like living right next to each other. So somebody that I've known like the entirety of my life. And we were just talking just how funny it was like about remembering our parents at the age of 40. Like I remember like back in, I guess my dad's about to be 70 now. So that would be 60, 50, 40, 30 years ago. So, um, is that right? Math is hard. But yeah, that sounds about right. So if he's about to be 70, then that'd be 30 years ago. But thinking about what life was like back in the 90s for like what the implications of 40 was. Like one of my favorite movies a few years back was This Is 40 because I love Knocked Up, so it's kind of the same cast, but This Is 40. And when my dad was turning 40, I remember it was like, Lordy, Lordy, he's over the hill at the age of 40 is something that my mom used to always say. We have the black balloons and the tombstones, and we talk about people being over the hill. And here we are in 2024, and I don't think people really talk about 40 the same way. I don't know if over the hill is still a concept that even if I said it to my kids, if they would like even like recognize that as a thing. I think the world has shifted to where 40 is just a new thing. But it's funny because I mean, any way you cut it, 40 is still halfway to 80, so it's not exactly young. But another conversation I had with actually my son's fraternity brother, Alpha Phi Alpha, all right, oh 06, Wesley. He had pointed out, he said, man, he likes to call me Kwame. He's like, Kwame, I tell you what, brother, the key is to keep moving. The key is you just got to keep moving. That's how we stay young. And if you know anything about me, you know that I'm a professional wrestler. Been a professional athlete my entire life. As far as I was always priming myself and grooming myself to audition to be a Power Ranger or a Ninja Turtle. So I taught myself at a very young age to be an acrobatic, like doing back handsprings and flips, cartwheels, that kind of stuff, and just fighting, which has been the perfect audition and training to become a professional wrestler to be able to entertain other people. I'm even wearing a professional wrestling shirt now that hasn't aged well, but it's the Shield. Fans gave it to me. I'm getting tangential. I'm getting off track. But my point is that he said that even though we're getting to that point where 40 or whatever, I guess you could say 40 is the new 30 or the new 20 or however we want to look at it, but it doesn't quite hit the same. Like 40 just looks different, feels different. And that's not to say a knock on our parents or older folks that were 40 before, but it just, like, I don't feel like an old person. I was watching Family Matters a couple years ago, and it struck me, at what point in life did I become Carl Winslow? Like he was going to his 20th, it's probably season one, of course, but he was going to his 20th reunion for his high school, and he was 38. And I was like, dang, at the time I was just a little bit under 30. I was probably 36, 37 or whatever, watching that episode a couple years ago. But I was like, man, like I grew up identifying with Steve Urkel because anybody that knew me back then, the big old thick Coke bottle glasses. I've had PRK LASIK surgery since then, but I was Steve Urkel, and now I'm looking up and I have a wife and 2 kids, and I've been graduated from high school for over 20 years, and I'm like, I am officially Carl Winslow. My point in all of this is that when it comes to age, when it comes to life in general, it's all about perspective and mentality. And people often talk about this idea of self care. Self-care, you have to have self-care, self-care, self-care. But what the hell is self-care? So let's break that down for a second. What is self-care? Meditating? Is it medicating? Is it going and getting a massage? Is it working out? Is it getting enough sleep, getting rest? Is it going on vacations? Is it spending money on yourself? Uh, Watching TV, going to movies, spending like what is self-care actually? Like is it journaling? Is it therapy? Like what is it? So I think it's this arbitrary thing that people are constantly like shoving down our throat. You need to have more self-care. And it almost gets to the point of, ironically, people shame us into you're not having enough self-care. But I think that the really missing component to all of this is that we talk about self care, but we don't often consider self love in the equation. Because you can be performative, you can put on the mask, you can go through the steps and the processes to self care. But if you don't have self love, then what are you really caring for? What are you really motivated to improve upon? If you don't like treat your body like a temple because you feel like you're worthy, if you don't uh, look at the self-care activities as an investment in yourself and your overall well-being so that you continue to sustain and feel and look youthful, but most importantly to be able to function, to have the highest quality life possible, to have a life worth living. But if you don't have self love, if you don't look at yourself as being worthy of these things, then it's just being performative. And then when you don't have the motivation or inspiration or energy to get up and do those things, then it's going to be really challenging because, well, I don't have the motivation to do it. I don't have the energy to do it. But if you don't see yourself as being important enough to invest in that, then it's probably not going to happen. So, rather than focusing on the activities of self care, let's focus on the principles and premise of self love. Let's remind ourselves, what are your values? What are your strengths? What are your goals? Who do you care about? Who are you here for? What is it that you aspire to do? What is it that you're wanting to accomplish throughout your life? Start to consider those things, because once we kind of put it all out and we see that we're worthy and we have people that need us and we need ourselves and we're not quite ready to hit the stop button, um, then we might feel a little bit more inspired, a little bit more motivated to do this self-care thing. And a lot of it too, the people that are espousing this whole self-care thing are the people that tend to be abusing us the most. Our employers are like, hey, you need to have more self-care, more work-life balance, but you also need to make sure to get this thing done before you close the business, and don't stay over, but get it all done. I'm a supervisor myself, so please, I get it. I get it. And it's sometimes feels like you're talking out of both sides of your neck because you truly feel compassionate and you want to be able to see the best for people. And you're also kind of like, you can't serve two masters, but you're kind of middle management. You're kind of stuck in the middle where you have to make sure that the thing gets accomplished. But the most important aspect of that, the component, is the human element. So what can we do to help to get ourselves to be the best version of ourselves possible so that we can invest in ourselves and know that it's important to continue to love us, to see that we're worthy, to see that all the things that they call self-care is really just an investment and betterment. And there's not like a cookie cutter approach to self-care. You can look at all the videos in the world, including this one, and I want you to, as Bruce Lee says, take what's useful and discard the rest. Like, I don't expect anybody to like watch my videos, follow my channel, and do all the things that Cowann says and you'll have a good life. Like, that's not how it works. You have to figure out, what does life mean to you? What's the definition of life? Is it 42? Whatever the heck that even means. But just kind of figure out what's the purpose. Purpose doesn't always mean like, I don't know. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother video. And I promised y'all that it wasn't going to be super duper long. So I'm going to kind of put a pin in that. But, consider, what is it that has you here and now? I think that my purpose is making an impact. So hopefully this video is a small fraction of that. And, being able to continue to put some things out there that maybe make you think, maybe make you consider and look at things in a different kind of way. I'm never going to claim to know it all or to be a master at all this stuff. I'm just a guy with some opinions and a couple of degrees. So take that for what you will. Doesn't mean I know it all. It just means I have some opinions. So I'm gonna keep on sharing my opinions with you. Hopefully, there's gonna be people out there that's gonna find value in them, and hopefully some positivity and use it. Again, what I said, take what's useful and discard the rest. I'm not gonna say something that everybody's gonna agree with. That's cool, but hopefully there's some nuggets in that you can sift through all of this and kind of find, okay, I can take that and use it. So have a great day. Much love.